Okay, I'm going to make this quick because I think the stuff that Greg was talking about is certainly the stuff that's really of interest here. So what we've got is our regulations consist of legislation, regulations, protocols, procedures, policies, and guidance. You've got MOE information documents, fact sheets, Q&A, the approvals workbook, which I hope everyone is aware of. It's an interesting one. And then you've got MOE checklist 10 and 11. Under CSAP, you've got CSAP guidance. You've got submission cover letters with the list of attachments that are interesting, if not up to date. You've got CSAP templates, and you've got the submission manager, which walks you through essentially the summary of site condition. So the legislation, you've got the Environmental Management Act, and under that you've got the regulations, contaminated sites, spill reporting, hazardous waste, transportation of dangerous goods, which is, of course, is federal. These are, the legislation has to be followed. There's not a lot of flexibility there. It tends to be broader, but needs to be followed. You get into the protocols, are technical procedures that are legally required under the Contaminated Sites Regulation, and a director may refuse to accept anything governed by the protocol that is not in compliance with it. Procedures are adopted, procedures and policies are used by the ministry. Procedures are used by the ministry. Policies are for contaminated sites, which focus on scientific, technical, and legal policy decisions. Approvals are required along the way. Several protocols require approvals. Submitting AP may want to get pre-approval, and we may be hearing more about that later today because the pre-approval is in a bit of flux at the present time. And the approvals workbook, which provides info on approvals that have been granted. It goes on to say a director's decision for one site cannot be adopted for a different site. However, in some cases, the details and rationale used in the decision made at a particular site may be relevant and appropriate. So that sort of speaks to Peter Reid's project there as well. It's something that you may be able to use, but it's not a guarantee. Guidance, application form, instructions, So guidance can be either technical or administrative, and they advise on technical and scientific matters or advise on administrative matters. So it sets out the ministry's expectations for the technical content. As it states, its advice. If you can make an alternate argument which is technically supportable, offers a different way of getting the same objectives, then you can depart from the guidance. But you have to clearly document your alternate approach and provide technical references. And some guidance requires MOE pre-approval. So the Q&A, MOE has a Q&A section. I think they get bombarded with the same question over and over. So before you ask the ministry, check with the Q&A. Often it's there. Now, some of the Q&As are a little dated, so there may still be a question or things may have evolved since the Q&A was done. But that's an important one because, they don't want to answer the same question more than once. Fact sheets. Okay, fact sheets are explanations of the regulations with respect to specific stakeholders or specific land use, businesses, etc. MOE forms, there is the link. MOE provides standardized forms for various aspects of submissions. They're on the MOE website. So then there's CSAP guidance. So when you're doing a report or when you're making a submission as an AP, this is where you want to look to make sure that you have answered all the questions before they even get asked. So the CSAP transmittal letter also has a list of attachments which helps you make sure that you are providing everything necessary for ANA's screening. And there's also a CSAP screening list. Is that on the website, the screening list? That is on the CSAP website. So these are all the things to flip through and make sure that you've addressed the issues. Summary. Know what regs apply and whether alternative arguments are acceptable. Know the precluding conditions. Sometimes you might think scientifically it makes sense, but there's a precluding condition. Know when approvals, pre-approvals are required. And we may hear more on this later today. It's evolving. Review whether the questions have been asked, answered before, and know what decisions have already been made. So that's the Q&A and the approvals workbook. If you're making an alternative argument, make it completely and clearly. Don't expect the CSAP reviewer or MOE or the PA panel to read your mind. Follow all the info documents in completing your submission so that Anna and Dave or Dave don't have to come after you for more info, because we're all concerned about the time it takes. Well, this is where some of it resides. So there are now fees for incomplete submissions. Well, I guess there are. We'll see.
I hope we don't have to go back to our bylaws.
To which? Yeah, you probably do. Okay, so any questions on that? I did that all in 10 minutes. Whew. God, I'm good. What's next? Click. Okay. Thank you.